Hi, I'm SargoDevel. Welcome to my channel. This is a series of videos about Cables Workbench for FreeCAD. In this episode, I will show you different methods of creating cable profiles and getting the 3D shape from them. I prepared 5 different examples. Each example uses different method of profile creation. First cable does not use any profile. It's a single wire cable. Second cable uses 5-wire cable preset, which is predefined in profile library. Third cable contains several wires with a single shared insulation. I will use a little trick to achieve it. The profile for the fourth cable will be made from scratch, because it has a shape that cannot be achieved using standard profile types from the library. The fifth cable will be made from custom profile defined previously in user library. I will create a CSV library file so that this can happen. First, let's create a base wire using WireFlex object. I create default WireFlex, then edit it with double-click. I drag the endpoint to make it longer, then add a point with Alt double-click. Select the point, make sure that we have global coordinates enabled, and enter values for this point. 40, 0, 0. Then create next point with keyboard shortcut E and move it to the position 70, 10, 40. We repeat the action with next point and coordinates 135, 15, minus 15. Next one with 80, minus 15, minus 65. And the last one with coordinates 10, minus 25, 70. Close the edit mode. Then change the path type of the wire to B-spline P. Change the boundary segment length to 15 mm, and we have the base shape ready. It will be used for all our examples. First example, single wire cable. Select base wire in the tree view and run the cable command. The shape is ready. Let's add some colors. Run Cable Materials command. Select Cable and for Material property select Multi-Material for 3 wires cable. Only one insulation color will be used. Refresh document. Now let's adjust some properties. We can set conductor gauge, which is always defined in square millimeters. So far, no other units are allowed for this property. We can also change insulation thickness. Make it thicker or thinner. Stripped wire length can also be adjusted. The first cable is ready. As we can see, the single wire cable has no profile and no sub-wires. If we expand the cable object, it has only one child, which is the base wire. We can show the wire and hide the cable shape to see what is under the hood. That's all about the first example. Before I start with second example, let's move the base wire a little. In this example, I will create 5-wire cable from library preset. Let's run the cable profile command. We have the predefined list of presets at the top. Let's select the YKY preset. This is a symbol used in Poland. The European equivalent is in brackets NYY-J or O. Additionally, we see the rated voltage, which is the 1000 volts. We can show the profile details. Here are the few parameters with a small illustrative image. We can change the jacket thickness. We have also single insulation thickness, which is related to insulation of each single subwire. We can increase or decrease it. Another parameter is the insulation distance, which is usually close to 0. Additionally, we can change number of wires and gauge of each inner wire, which is always the same for all subwires. Finally, we have profile class. Currently only two profile classes exist: round and flat. Once we verified all the settings, we can accept our choice. The new profile is always placed at the origin of the coordinate system. I can now select the base wire and the profile holding the Ctrl key. Then run the cable command. The shape has been created. We can now select the material. Let's select multi-material for 5-wire cable. Colors are assigned properly. We can see that the original profile is hidden, but it can be reused for other cables if needed. Under the cable object we have two profile clones, profile A and profile B. Each of them points to the original YKY profile. We can hide the cable shape for a while and see the entire skeleton. There are profile clones on both sides of a cable and all subwires. Letter A in each subwire indicates that it belongs to beginning of the cable. Additional letters in subwires indicate the function. L1 to L3 are 3 phases, N for neutral and PE for grounding. The corresponding labels are visible at the other end of the cable. All the names are defined in subcolors property of the cable. If not needed, all the sublines can be hidden with one click. Here we can also adjust stripped wire length, which is always the same for all subwires. Third example, the flat cable with a single shared insulation only. Run the cable profile command. Let's select thin cable as a base for modifications. Show the details and select the flat profile class. Jacket thickness 0.3 mm. Let's set the thickness of a single insulation to 1 micrometer so that it will be practically imperceptible, and the insulation distance to 0.3 mm. Increase the number of wires to 12. The wire gauge can be left as 0.1 square millimeters, and all settings are OK now. Let's move the base shape to the right to show that the position of the profile relative to the baseline is irrelevant. Select the wire and profile with Ctrl key and run the cable command. With that number of wires, there is no default naming of subwires. Select the cable and hide all sublines. We set the stripped wire length to 0, remembering that the single insulation thickness is negligibly small. Now select the multi-material for 3 wires cable, because we will not use internal insulations. Now, for the trick to work, we need to set the colors correctly. The jacket color for the main shape and the copper color for the rest. This way we hide the presence of the very thin inner insulations. Refresh the document and we have the final cable ready. I start the fourth example with making the profile in Sketcher. The profile consists of a series of closed loops where the order in which these loops are created is very important. Let's make two circles first so that they partially overlap. The circles will be symmetrical with respect to the origin. The distance between the centers we set to 2 mm. Next we make the circles equal, then give them diameter of 3 mm. Now we cut out the unnecessary arcs. This way we made the first closed loop, which will form our cable jacket. Then we make next two circles, which will form two individual internal insulations. We repeat the process, setting both diameters to the same value and set them to 1.8 mm. Next, following the sequence, we create the inner circles. This will form the diameters of the bare wires. We make them equal and set the diameter to 1.129 mm, which will give us the gauge of 1 square millimeter. At the end, we create 2 points in the center of conductors, while maintaining the established order from left to right at all times. The sketch is ready, we can close it. It is placed at the origin of the coordinate system. Go back to Cable Workbench. Let's move the base wire to the right and create the cable from the base wire and the sketch. The sub-wires have the default names, so we can add the default material for 3 wires cable. It will use only 2 of them. We can hide the sub-wires. The cable with non-standard shape is ready. This way we can create various complex cable profiles, including, for example, internal conductors of different diameters, shapes, and positions relative to one another. The fifth example will involve creating your own profile in the user library and then using it to build a cable. Let's start with Cable Profile command. Here we can enable details and set all needed parameters for our new profile. Let it be flat, with jacket thickness of 0.5 mm, single insulation thickness 0.4 mm, and insulation distance 0.2 mm. It will have 2 wires with a gauge of 0.75 square millimeters. Once we set all, do not close the task panel, but open the Python console. Now we will start a little bit hacky way of action. Let's clear the console history, move our settings to be more visible, and let's go and have fun. Type the following into the console, making sure to use the correct case. FreeCAD .get user app data dir. We can select the proper function from the pop-up. Then put the brackets at the end and press enter. We got the file path to our local FreeCAD user folder. Select it and copy. Open your system file browser. I use the Dolphin browser from KDE Plasma under Linux, but you can open File Explorer if you use Windows. Paste the file path to the browser's path window and press enter. We are now in the user local folder of FreeCAD. Here you can see something similar as in my window. First, we create here a new folder and name it Cables. Keep in mind the correct letter case. This will be our library folder. It will be safe here with no risk of being overwritten after the next Workbench update. Split the window. Under Windows you can just create a new tab as a duplicate. The second window will be here as our destination. In the first window, we start digging into the Mode folder and deeper into Cables, FreeCAD, Cables, Resources and Presets. Here is our built-in library, which we shouldn't modify. Instead, we can copy profiles.csv file to the destination window into the Cables folder with our personal library. Then we can close the source folder with built-in library. We won't need it here anymore. We are left with our personal library. Open the profile CSV file with your local favorite text editor. I personally use CAD. I can recommend it. It should be available in every Linux distro. You can also download it for Windows. Important: do not open this file under Excel or any other spreadsheet editor. The editing result can be unpredictable. You can simply use Windows Notepad if you don't have anything else. Okay, inside the profiles file we have many presets which we have to delete if we don't want to end up with duplicate entries in FreeCAD later on. So let's delete them. Lines that start with a hash are comments. They should help us understand what this is all about. Let's change the window size to see better our settings in FreeCAD. We start now typing the settings under F-profile comments. The name should mean something, for example a cable symbol, and has to be unique. We will put here my cable, comma without a space, then capital F, which means flat profile class, comma without a space, the rated voltage, for example 750 volts, comma, always without a space, jacket thickness 0.5 millimeters, again comma, single insulation thickness 0.4, comma, and insulation distance 0.2. This was the profile, now the preset. This is separate line because the same profile can have different presets that vary, for example in the number of wires. We put here the same name as above and the same voltage class, so the software will know which preset to choose. Comma, 2 wires, comma, and gauge 0.75. Save the file but don't close it yet. There may be some changes needed later. Go back to FreeCAD, close the Python console and cancel the task panel. Reopen the cable profile command and select our new profile from the list of presets. Here it is. My cable 2 times 0.75 for 750 volts. Select it. We can verify the profile type and the details. Everything looks fine. Press OK. Select the base wire and the profile with the Ctrl key and select the cable command. Cable shape is ready. Add the material and hide sublines. Cable is finished. The created profile preset stays safe in local library and can be used repeatedly in the future. That's all in this episode. Thanks for watching. I invite you to watch the next videos of this series. If you liked this video and if you are satisfied with using Cables Workbench, you can support me through my Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com/sargodevil, ko-fi.com/sargodevil. Your support will help me continue developing this tool. Thank you.